they were not as effective, totally, as many claim today. That's my study of the situation. In my view, what finally brought down apartheid was a cataclysmic world event, and that was the collapse of the Soviet Union. Because overnight, the African National Congress lost its patron. It lost its political support, its financial support, and its training support. It suddenly faced a new reality. On the white side, the whites lost the support of the West, which until then used to condemn apartheid, but actually support it. They supported the status quo for a very simple reason. South Africa was a treasure chest of minerals. The West had to have it. They were not prepared to allow the Soviet Union to get access to the platinum. 75% of the world's production of platinum comes from South Africa. Titanium, you name it, South Africa's got it. When the Cold War ended, the West was no longer interested in supporting the status quo, and the whites were left out to dry. And that focused the minds on both sides. And that, in my view, is what finally ended apartheid. The other factors, yeah, they all helped. Sports boycotts were tremendously important. They made, especially at whites, rugby, cricket, all the rest of it. You were made to feel a pariah when you went abroad. I can remember going to London with my wife, and she told me, she has an English accent, because she comes from Wales, and she went into a shop, and the shop assistant was terribly nice to her, and then she produced a credit card, which was South African. She said in a split second, the atmosphere changed. And she nearly broke out crying. She was so upset. Well, this was happening all over the place. People were treated like pariahs. It got to them. But these are just factors. So in our case, when I look at our situation, and in my bleaker moments, and I look at the failure of leadership on both sides, and I look at how people on both sides have developed for all sorts of reasons, and that's another hour's lecture, you can read my book about it, whichever you prefer. People, the hatred, the prejudice, the fear are growing every day in this country. And in my bleaker moments, I think perhaps you've got to wait for the Messiah to come. That is going to be a cataclysmic event. Otherwise, because again, the point that was made earlier, I left South Africa in 1986 because my newspaper, the Rand Daily Mail, was closed down because of our opposition to apartheid. And I left out of a sense of total despair. My best friends were in jail, had been killed, were banned. I saw no future. I just saw apartheid going on and on into the future forevermore. I didn't want to be part of it, apart from which I was unemployable. So I went abroad. 8 years later, Keku Lekala no, all gone, finished. This is the miracle of human existence. It's a slender hope to have to base your life on, but we somehow have to cling for that, and in the meantime, keep building those bridges, as we did in South Africa, against all the obstacles of apartheid. There were people on both sides who held on to each other, who made friends, and when circumstances changed, there were enough influential whites and blacks who knew each other, who trusted each other, and worked together. And that, I think, is a lesson for us. Now, about migrants. Sorry, well, I'm just saying, well, okay.
Migrants come and go.
Is he coming back? I see, okay, I'll come back. Israel compared with other countries. I don't care. I know who we are, who we should be. What limited knowledge I've got a son who's a rabbi, but I've still got a limited knowledge of Judaism, but what I know of it, I know how we should be behaving. And we're not behaving in that way. And that's what I want to see in this country. I couldn't say that. I'm horrified by Syria, by Saudi Arabia, by Sri Lanka, by every other godforsaken place in the world. But I live here. This is where I want to see us behaving like human beings. How can there be peace while there's occupation? I agree, totally. We've got to get out. That's all there is to it. And again, I don't want to keep plugging my book, but I did I looked at this very heavily. It cost me dear. My wife kept begging me to finish the wretched book. She said I was becoming unlivable with. I was depressed, angry, upset. And the section on the settlements, when you look at what we're doing, if you take You take the bits and pieces that are reported day in and day out and you put them together, I must tell you, the picture is horrifying of what we are doing to ourselves. We are brutalizing them and we're brutalizing ourselves. And we're attacking, undermining our own rule of law. We are misusing and misappropriating millions and millions of dollars. This, to me, is destroying Israel. And I agree, and that won't bring peace. The occupation, ending the occupation, is only the first step. There's got to be much else. We'll still be hated, but we've still got to go. That is the first step. Thank you.